Hello and good afternoon to you. Welcome to our Facebook Live here in the midst of lockdown. And I'm in the office here with proper social distancing to be able to talk to you about a topic that's very passionate in my heart, and that is the love of houseplants. And goodness only knows, don't we need cheering up at the minute? Lockdown again, and it's very different from the first lockdown, because the first lockdown, of course, there was that beautiful weather outside. We could light up a barbecue in our own garden, sit down, relax, pot a few plants, start the tomatoes on the go. But of course, during the winter time, we are inside. We've had a little flurries of snow about, and the forecast isn't that good for this week. And the schools are off. So we're homeschooling with our three at home at the moment as well. And of course, it's not just a homeschooling. Of course, the kids are in the house and, they need to get out. It's we haven't got to tolerate it for long. So keeping safe is the most important thing, and following all the government guidelines. But there are some hobbies that you can take up inside your home and bring a little bit of nature indoors. And I kid you not, if you start with the passion of growing your own houseplants, it will consume you. It is a marvellous hobby. More than a hobby, of course, because it does improve our lives. It does. It improves our physical life, because many of the houseplants around have the ability to clean the built-up toxins that we get inside our own home. And you only have to think about it, especially during the winter months with the windows closed, it starts to build up. The aerosols that we use, what happens to the vapour? It stays. Burning wood stoves, gas cookers, cleaning products, spray, all of these type of artificial chemicals inside our homes build up. And for some people, it gives us a feeling of nausea. Sometimes we just get headaches. And for many of us who are working at home all the time, we don't need that. Houseplants clean air and make us feel better. Certainly if there's enough of them and the right types, and I'll be able to help you choose them. But it's more than that. It's also the feeling of caring, the smell and scent of beautiful gardenias or jasmine inside the home, the brightly lit colours that come from them, some plants that actually move and we can interact with, we can take cuttings, we can share, and the sight of green naturally calms us as a human species. So the fact of keeping houseplants will keep your mind active, relaxed, and physically well at the same time. Wouldn't it be great if all these hints and tips were together in one book? Guess what? It is. Now, during the beginning of last lockdown, I got a call from the guys at DK. Would I write a book with all the ingredients that help people care for houseplants, whether they're an expert and want to move to an advanced stage, or whether you're just beginning. But specifically, other than them just looking good and making our house look great, but also to highlight the specific benefits. Because I kid you not, each individual plant has its own superpower, and it helps you in your day-to-day life, and something special for you to enjoy. So what I've done is I've put together a hardback book. It's available on Amazon at the moment. It's $9.99, but it's worth you watching the video. They're doing an 18% discount of £8.19 on Amazon. I can't believe it already. Or $4.99 on Kindle. But the hardback copy, $8.19, is fantastic. And it has everything you need in relation to taking care of houseplants. For a start off, the hardest thing is, I spent quite a bit of time as a houseplant buyer for a lot of the big multiples. I must have bought over 5 million houseplants in my time for lots of stores. And if you were buying houseplants in the 80s and 90s, you almost certainly had one of my finds during the time. So I start by putting an image of the top 50 houseplants that are good for your health as a great search right at the beginning. So if you've got a houseplant, let's just take a look over here. Say this little Anthurium here. You can spot the Anthurium. It tells you the page number, so you can identify your own houseplants just with this guide. It's worth getting the book just for that guide. But then the other information that we've got within that is it allows you to become a houseplant expert. It tells you the benefits of houseplants inside your home and what it does for you in more details. Then it specifically highlights the mental benefits of houseplants and breaks it down to all the key components. The goodness you feel from nurturing, breaking cycles, creating new hobbies and enjoyment, healthy relationships, the joy of sharing, a whole host of information. Then it talks about the air quality and how you can populate your houseplants around your home to improve the quality of your air and also reducing headaches and other illnesses. Engaging children with houseplants, matching moods and colours, which certain colours uplift you, and then tips on how to buy houseplants, where to put your houseplants, and then grow your houseplants. It's got so much information just in the opening sections. And before I move on to the body of the book, where I've identified 50 of the best houseplants you can get and what they do for you specifically inside your own home and how you can master growing these. And they will show you, and in this book it'll explain to you what goodness these plants give back to you and your family as well. Now, as I say, if anybody's interested, it is in the description underneath this video in Facebook, which will be a link to Amazon, and they're selling it instead of $9.99. They've got it at $8.19. It's hardback as well. It's a great present for somebody. You can pre-order them. They come available on the 4th of February. Now, I'm also here to answer your questions. So please send in messages. Tell me where you're from and your name as well, and I'll give you a shout back, and I'll also answer as many questions as I can about houseplants. Have been a constant passion of mine, and it's so beautiful to see them inside our rooms. And for those of us who are working at home all the time, you need to have a little bit of greenery around you. Hard brick around the back or just rendered walls or wallpaper doesn't do it. But the moment plants are around us, they make us feel calm, they de-stress us and make us feel happy. Sean Walsh, hiya David, when's the best time to reseed grass? Well, that's a non-houseplant one, but I'm very happy to answer any of the questions you've got. It's usually I'd wait till the soil warms up a little bit. You can prepare the area, weed and clear areas that you've got, but adding in a little bit later when it comes into spring and the soil starts to warm, mix up grass seed with some peat-free compost and apply it around the areas that you need to respot. Certainly that penalty spot for the kids' football or where the dog goes, and that works there, Sean. Tina Vaughan, hi David. Hello Tina, how are you? Steve Rutter. Hope you're well. I've just been mulching some more of the garden with some of that horse manure. It's always good, Steve. Now's the time to do it. Mulch your garden. The frost, as it expands and contracts, works some of it in as well. We have nearly 70 to 80 viewers already on at the moment. Priscilla Sterling, any ideas of what to put in whiskey barrels? Love your ideas. Whiskey barrels are great. Any form of the bigger the container, the more plants that you can put in. You could probably grow a small fruit bush within there, a pixie rootstock for apples or pears or cherries. You can grow quite well. Currants grow pretty well. So you can make it not only about shrubs and colour from the flower and the foliage, but also the fruit as well. Whiskey barrels, they're great. You can buy them online really cheaply nowadays. What have I got here? Tina Vaughan, my amaryllis hasn't flowered this time because I've repotted it. Well, Tina, ours did really well. What usually happens is you buy an amaryllis bulb, that's great, and I've got amaryllis bulbs in the book as well, because it is a fantastic plant to have to grow inside your home, because the bulb shoots up this spike. It was marvellous with me and the kids this time. Long flower that bursts at the top, but the moment it's finished flowering, like a lot of bulbs, you need to pep in the plant food. You can get lots of different types. Miracle Grow do a pump and feed, which you literally just squish it in. So you can put a mix of fertilizer in. It re-energizes the bulb. So next year you get more flowers. So if it hasn't come this year, I would, if you've repotted, it sounds as if you've had it before. The first year it uses its energy to produce the flower. Second year, it builds up the energy for the following year. And if those of you are interested in that, I've got all the details on how to grow amaryllis bulbs as one of my top 50 favourites within here as well. What have we got here? Ian Rouse, hello to you, Ian, from a dull, windy Kingston upon Hull. I know Kingston upon Hull. I used to work with a nursery just up in Beverley. It's a lovely part, but it's a bit windy there. It's not windy here, it's a bit cloudy outside, so I'm glad to be inside with my plants. This yucca here, I had about this size, and it was about 4 years ago. I was doing demonstrations at the Ideal Home Show, and that was one of my props, and I was planting loads of unusual things. I was planting pot plants in teapots, in welly boots, in jam jars, just to show the diversity of containers. And this little plant was one at the end. It had fallen out of its pot a few times, and I think somebody crushed it at the back of the stage. Probably one of those interior designers, you know what they're like. And I salvaged it and brought it back, and it's been with me for years. And I've taken this particular plant all the way to the studios on this morning. It's been on this morning. I'm not sure whether it's been on with the James Martin Saturday show. It was certainly on with Alan Titchmarsh and I a couple of weeks ago on Love Your Weekend. But, you know, they become friends of the family, houseplants, and that is the magic of it. I mean, I love, certainly, I mean, this is a maidenhair fern, Adiantum, and just look how subtle it moves. If you looked at it really closely, it's got this almost like black wire stems with these butterfly wing foliage. Look at that. It's a lovely bathroom plant. You can pick that. I bought this up for the gut, £6. I mean, come on, £6. It's next to nothing. And you put it into a bathroom like humid atmosphere on the windowsill. In fact, you could turn your whole bathroom into a tropical rainforest. Ferns love it, and orchids do too. So you can just have these, and there's many different types. There's a bird's nest fern, there's the Boston fern, the lovely trails that you get with that. And of course, you also get these little maidenhead ferns. So, and that's one of my top 50. So just to give you an idea for the type of plants, I've listed out here in the book every single plant variety. And in there, it gives a brief description on what it is. This is Jacob's coat, Codium, lovely plant that. And it'll give you hints and tips as well. Help me to feel at home. I prefer it to exactly where to place it. Beautiful, vibrant foliage. You see, the thing about the crotons is each plant is different to the next. They may look alike, but the subtle variegation makes each in particular one unique. Get to know me, hints and tips, and then how to care for it and where to go. Now, 50 plants. When I first started putting the list together, I got to about 80 because I love all plants. The hardest job was to cut it down from 80 down to 50. Now, this is a lovely one. If you've got an office at home, the jade plant really works. I've got one just here. You can get them in green. You've probably seen them about. The money trees, it's otherwise known as, or crasula. It is fabled to bring good fortune. So that's why it's called the money plant. And if any of you go to takeaway restaurants, you usually find, certainly some of the more oriental ones have these in the front as you come across because it symbolises good luck. So around the world, it's such an easy plant to keep. It really is. And the type of thing, you can just take a singular leaf from this plant. Let me just do that. Just pluck a little leaf off and put that into water, into a little egg cup with water. It'll root. You then pot that up and then you give it to your mum. Or your son, your daughter, your aunt, your uncle, your best friend. Take one to work, have one at home. And it's a giving plant because it also symbolises friendship. And if you take this, an exact clone of this plant will be grown in your mum and dad's house or any other friends. It's as simple as, how marvellous is that? I mean, producing cuttings from plants is so easy. You can buy these, something like this in a garden centre is about £5. You will have it for the next 20 years. What a gorgeous little plant. This one's slightly variegated, sunshine. It's got a little, as you can see there, a little bit of pinky yellow around the edges of the leaf. And in fact, in the book, I've also highlighted that as well. So the book, as I say, it's available from Amazon. It's got a discount at the moment. It's £8.19 instead of £9.99. And that £8.19, it's hardcover as well. So it's a really good book, great gift. So, and listen, get on there while you can. I think we've got the description in the bottom of the post, so you can get a link into Amazon. Goodness only knows how long they're going to keep that discount on for. So for £8.19 rather than £9.99, it's a good bargain. And then there's all the hits and tips and what it brings out for you, because it flowers, you can make babies, get to know me, it tells you all the symbolise good luck and hope. I can boost your energy level, loads of different things all in here to help help you grow it, and it's available on Amazon at the moment. I'm also going to choose some of my favourite questions that I'm getting in on houseplants and do a bit of a giveaway. So please send your questions through. And at the end of the show, I'll choose one from random and you'll get a Miracle Grow houseplant potting mix. You also get a pump and feed and you get an orchid mist as well. It's a freebie. You might as well have them. I'll choose a winner from that as we go. So we've got loads of stuff there. Andy, Stacey, David, Happy New Year. I've got a poinsettia. Had it for 3 weeks. The leaves are dropping off. Why can't I offer off? And when can I start sowing poppy seeds? Well, there's two questions there. The poppy seeds ones, I would wait a little bit later on as we get into March and the like, and you can start them off at home, or you can wait a little bit later and sow them straight into your borders as well. But as far as your poinsettia is concerned, again, I've got poinsettia in here. It's got every major houseplant that you can buy and have at home, and it tells you how to grow them, what they symbolise. I mean, who would have thought? A Mexican plant with red bracts, how is that associated with Christmas? Tells you all about it in there. It breaks the myths behind the plants, why they're called that name and why they make it. Now, the thing with poinsettias, and it tells you in the book, is they can be a bit upset about the change in temperature. So if you carry it from the car to the house and it gets cold, or it's near a back door and the door's open, they get an icy blast, or the window's open, or it's right by a radiator and the radiator boils it up and then it gets cold again when the radiator gets off. Putting it into a constant temperature is the key to success with poinsettias. There's a few others as well, but they're all highlighted in this book. And another thing I have done within the book is I've peppered in sections that help you. So I've got one here, and it lists some of the plants that are within the book. I'll try and find you another one that we've got. I've not pre-marked these because, here we go. Plants to cheer you up. I love this page. So I've chosen all my favourite plants. Put a smile on your face. Things like when you get the scent of a gardenia flower. I smell that and all of a sudden I'm on holiday in the Mediterranean, because you know how scent really triggers, memories. Things like cut grass and, you walk in to get mimosa. I get the smell of gardenia and I'm on holiday and it just puts a smile on my face. We talked about amaryllis earlier. When I see the amaryllis grow and it comes out in a flower and my kids are going, it's amazing. It's better than an iPad or a phone. Seeing nature works. Living stones. We used to call them living bottoms because it's a little plant that looks like a little bottom. There's loads of unusual plants full in it. There's a plant that moves as well, the sensitive plant. You touch it, kid you not, the leaves just climb out and go down. Wait for you to go away, then the leaves open again. Or the prayer plant, where the leaves close themselves up. They make a little rustling sound as they close themselves up at night and then they open themselves up again. It is packed with some of the best plants for interaction that you can have. What's this one over here? Plants to spark creativity. Beautiful, intricate plants that generate and switch the mind. It's called fascination, where you look at something that looks so amazing and wonderful. We had it recently, of course, when we had that frost. And when you walk outside and you see the beautiful cobwebs that are all stilled with frost. Certain plants like these have a similar thing. This one over here, the velvet plant, almost looks like UV light. It's almost like it's glowing with purple effervescence. And then, of course, the moth orchid, right in the centre of the moth orchid, you can see it, is a little dove that's coming out. I mean, there's loads of stuff. It's packed out with hints and tips. And as I say, you can follow the link just underneath the post here to Amazon, where they're selling the hardback copy, not $9.99 with a tenner. Instead, they're selling it for $8.19 for a limited time. It actually gets posted to you on the 4th of February because it's not actually in the shops yet, but it will be available from most big garden centres and bookshops, as well as, of course, online through Amazon. Let me take a few pre-sent questions that we've had in. Mandy Newman. David, I've got a 20-year-old rubber plant. Well done to you, Mandy. That has been grown and it's now reached the ceiling and it's starting to bend over. Can I cut this to make new plants? Well, of course you can. That's the thing about houseplants. If you get successful, it doesn't become the rubber plant. It's the house's rubber plant. And when you move home and you get into your new property, you start bringing your plants around, and that new property, that empty shell, suddenly starts becoming home. Yeah, with rubber plants, Mandy, you can do this thing called air layering, where, I don't know, within 18 inches from the top of the tip, if you go down, you actually get a knife, cut a knife all the way around the stem. Not through it, just around the edge. Then do the same about a centimetre or an inch underneath, and then strip the bark from that. So you've got the stem in there, but the outer ring of the bark has gone. Pack a bit of sphagnum moss around the outside, and then what I do is I put plastic around the moss, so the moss is hugging where you've cut the bark away. and you then seal it. I usually put a bit of rooting hormone powder just on the exposed bit of tissue on the stem, and then I used bread ties either side, and that little mass of moss, you'll start to see roots, and it will root through. So what you do is you then cut it underneath, take it, pot it up, and you've got another plant growing. And of course then you can give that plant to a friend or family or put it in a different part of the house. You can take so many cuttings. That's in the book, by the way. All information on how to reduce the height of your house plants if they've grown too big. Things like this one here. How lovely is that? £8. Again, you will have that for the next, I don't know, 30 years. This is, used to be called the mother-in-law's tongue, but don't say that out too loud, Sansevieria. It's a marvellous plant. It takes out loads, as well as the microorganisms in the soil, of course, but as the plant breathes and it grows, it takes out loads of toxins that you get within the air. So it's a great cleanser of the air quality inside your own home. Best way to take cuttings from this. Pull off a leaf, slice it about like that. Just slice sections like that. Make sure you got them the right way up. Let them sit in water and they will root. You better take them and pop them up. The only thing though is once they've rooted and they grow, they don't grow back variegated like this. They grow back green. But it's still about taking cuttings. It's so much. And you know, you can go in, this little Anthurium, I mean, that's in the book telling you exactly how it is. And this is the Anthurium here. I picked that up. You know, you get those little sections in the garden centre where plants are a little bit ill. They need care and attention and they've discounted them. I picked that up for £6. Normally about 13, 14 quid, £6, and I'm bringing you back, even though you look pretty good at the minute. But hints and tips on how to buy plants from garden centres are inside the book. How to care for all of these plants you see around me is in there, and specifically what they do to help you with your mental and physical well-being. It's published by DK, you know, it's one of the top publishers in the country. And it's a lovely book. It's great for presents or gifts that you've got, something for the coffee table, the toilet, wherever you sit down and have a couple of minutes to read or take with you. But, you know, during the lockdown, take a minute to discover a new hobby, bringing nature inside to help your mental and physical well-being. It's My Houseplant Changed My Life is the title, and it's green well-being for the great indoors. And it's available at a discounted price, nearly 20% off at Amazon at the minute at £8.19 instead of £9.99. That's a hardback version, or £4.99 on Kindle as well. Other questions that we've got over here from Amy Louise Doyle. Hello, Amy. I love to keep orchids, but once the flowers have dropped off, I'm not sure how to care for them afterwards. So easy. Depends on the type of orchid you've got as well. They really like orchids, a more humid area. So moving them into the bathroom or the kitchen is a better way to grow them. You need to give them a bit of feed as well. I've got this is half empty because I've taken this from home. This is the pump and feed. You literally just squeeze down. You don't have to dilute it. Squeeze down a couple of bits onto the surface of the soil or the bark that the compost is for the orchid, and then just water as normal, and it dilutes whilst it's there. So the secret is orchids are much easier to care for than anybody would believe. It will flower again. The secret is to keep them moist, don't let them sit in water, and feed them regularly. But humid environment is where it works. And I've got examples of how to care for orchids, both dendrobium orchids, which are beautiful, tall column flowering ones, and then the moth orchid as well, the phalaenopsis. And I've got all the details and what they can do to help clean the air and help your mental and physical well-being as well. I hope that's helpful, Amy. Stick with the orchids, because once you've got the knack, the whole house will be full of them. Every time you see them flower, it puts a smile on your face, just lifts your mood. They're beautiful, beautiful. What have we got there? Ian Rouse Ian's just saying, hi David, what's the best way to keep my Anthurium going or propagate the Anthuriums? Well, I've always found with Anthuriums and growing them, they don't like the cold. So that's the one thing. You put them in the cold, they die back. They're not a great plant for reinvigorating and coming back. These aren't, in fact, flowers. These are bracts. They're modified leaves. And the spathe, which is the centre spike here, does have the flowers on themselves. Some people say you can divide. I've never been a great fan of that. So they're not as easy to propagate as some of the others, like the beautiful spider plant, fantastic, because otherwise known as the hen and chickens, because it produces loads of little babies that you can propagate easy, or propagation from crassulas or Sansevierias. There are some plants that are easier to propagate than others, like the Anthurium. And what I've got in here is a section on how you can take care and propagate yourself where possible, how to do division if you need by, or how to take cuttings from what you've got. Oh, look at you. The polka dot plant. Everybody's saying, why are you putting that polka dot plant? It's just a little pot plant, but it's so much colours. It's just splashes of pink. You can also get them with white variegation and red, and the reds are really vibrant. It's one of the first house plants I ever bought, that. You little cutie. You become friends with them. They're just magical. All inside the book, as I say, it's available from Amazon at $8.19. All the details are in the conversations underneath, and it's published by DK, Dawn and Kinnersley, of course. Caroline Wilkes, hello Caroline. What have you got here? I have a crassula money plant. No luck yet. Keep doing the lottery. Well, what can you say? I know they're lucky plants, but you've got to give them a head start. Buy a ticket at least. You stand a better chance. They do bring luck. You never know what these little plants are doing. Aren't you cute? It symbolises friendship and symbolises good luck. In fact, every single plant has a superpower, and in the book it highlights which each individual one does, and it's amazing to see how diverse these plants are. About producing oxygen that we breathe inside the home. There's things like bromeliads that produce oxygen at night, and then you've got other plants that produce oxygen during the day. You know, with the right combination, you're producing oxygen, you know, throughout 24 hours. It's amazing, the cover as well. Steve Rutter, hi Steve. I've got a devil's ivy. It grows like mad when we lived in the previous place, but since we've moved over a year ago, in the bathroom, I now find a lot of leaves go brown and die. Unfortunately, it's the only place though, because because they're toxic to cats. You've got to be very careful about some plants. Well, it's if your animals eat them. Not all of them are toxic. I do put a guide onto which plants should not be in rooms with dogs that eat plants or children that eat plants, or where to position them. So you've got a clear identification in the bottom, so it's a fantastic guide if you want to use something to choose which plants to have, because I've got all the warnings and the benefits that go all in one small book. So take a look at that. I think with half the time, if they are browning, it could be some aspects of care that's wrong. Either there's too much water, usually with skin damage. Never let them sit in a pot. I bought this from a garden centre, another little discount one that was selling off. This is a little fig. Aren't you gorgeous? You're in the book. They can grow really big too. So never, if they're in pots like this, never just water in the bottom so they're sitting in water. That's a big no. I take them out, put the plug in the bath, stand all my plants in there, then drain it afterwards once they've sucked up enough water, and then put them back in the containers that they've got there. Hold on, we've got another one here. Barbara Snaith, hello Barbara. So many questions. We have to do another one on houseplants, George, just to pick up, because we had a lot of questions emailed in before, and I've so much to talk about. They're so lovely. Barbara Snaith, is there a houseplant that can help my mum with mental health? Of course there is. Of course there is, Barbara. So many. I mean, I can give you a couple just now if you fancy it. I think anything with fragrance often has a tendency to lift. So the Madagascar jasmine, or just a normal jasmine, although they come in a little bit later into the shops. Or you've got something like gardenias, or just like very detailed flowering plants. Kalanchoes, they're so easy to keep. Things like the flamingo flower, the varieseas. Listen, I've got a book of 50 of the plants that help in so many different ways. Take a look on the Amazon website, because they're selling the book off at $8.19 at the moment. There's no idea if they take them on and off. They're far beyond my power, but you can buy them in garden centre. You can buy this book in garden centres, and of course also in bookshops as well. Now I'm going to give away some products as well, which is the Miracle Grow Premium House Plant and Potting Mix, Pump and Feed and Orchid Mix. In fact, Barbara, I'm going to give that to you. Barbara, that's for your mum. So when you've chosen a house plant, that's nice to be able to help with the mental health. We'll give you some houseplant food and stuff to help you care for it as well. So Barbara, please direct message me and we'll send a little package off to you as well. So please take a look. It's got everything you need. I put a lot of effort into writing this, me and the team here during lockdown earlier on. It has 50 of the most successful plants that can help you with mental and physical well-being. It's got little character traits and what makes each individual plant different. Look at that. That's gorgeous. That's the Madagascar jasmine. So by the time you finish reading those 2 pages, you'll know all there is need to know, because there's a section telling you what it is, different section here on how to care for it, and then each bubble tells you something about what the plant can give to you. Well, the peace lily. I had a peace lily. Where's that one gone, George? It's behind you. It's just this particular plant here is the hero out of all plants. It's one of the toughest. I mean, NASA did a study with plants. You have to remember, whenever they're doing studies, it's a controlled environment, of course. So you've got that inside. In the book here, I'll explain how you can adapt that type of work within your own home by obviously the health of your house plants, air movement inside the room, the number of house plants in relation to the size of the room. So there's loads of hints and tips in the book of that. But this little peace lily here is the hero because it is a real good cleanser inside the home as well. Hold on, I've got something here. Anna Zelandi Lord, I would like to buy a plant that looks spectacular and easy to look after. What do you suggest? Where do I start? Where do I start? All of them are so beautiful. I'm a great lover of cheese plants. They call them the Swiss cheese plant because there's sort of like holes in the leaves and it looks a little bit like Swiss cheese. Everybody says to me, why does it have holes in the leaves? Well, it's a rainforest plant. I tell you something. It's in the book as well. It has a phenomenal ability. Most plants, phototropic growth, grow towards the light. Okay, this one grows towards the dark because it's a creeper and it's going towards the dark where there's the most shade, and it creeps towards where there's most shade. Do you know why? Because it knows the tree is making the shade, and then it climbs up the tree, and that's how it operates to get right up to the top. And I think that the holes in the leaves, you know, when they have the monsoons crashing down, I think that enables some of the water to go through the holes in the leaves rather than weighting the whole leaf down and collapsing the plant. So all of the plants have adapted to their own environment, and they will adapt to your environment as well. If you've never grown houseplants before and you want to give it a go, everything you need from choosing plants and where to put them and what type of conditions that they like. If you have always grown houseplants and you want to know how they can specifically help you with your mental and physical well-being, it has everything you need to know. 40 years experience in horticulture, professional experience in horticulture, all in one book. Currently on Amazon for sale at $8.19 instead of $9.99. It's a hardback one as well, $4.99 on Kindle. You can do pre-orders at this discounted price by following the link in the text box in association with this video that you're watching. Listen, there's loads of questions still to go. I'm really running. Can we do another houseplant one? I love it. I'm looking at the back there. They're nodding, they're shaking their heads. We should do another one. Thanks very much for listening. I really hope you get an opportunity to take a look at the houseplants in your own homes, give them a little bit of a makeover, and then treat yourself. Garden centres are open, of course, all over the country, and following correct COVID safety regulations as well. So I'm going to ask you please to keep safe. And if you're looking for a hobby or something to engage the children, you can do that with indoor plants. And if you want help, hints, tips and advice on my favourite 50 houseplants and what they can do for you, just take a look at Amazon and pre-place your order. Lovely talking to you. Join us again when we do our next Facebook Live. You can join Alan Titchmarsh or myself every Sunday morning on Love Your Weekends. In fact, I'm going down to see Alan a day after tomorrow. And we've got loads of more information that works. If you are interested in getting prize draws and the like, we have so many on at the minute. We've got prize draws for the Yard Force AquaJet cleaner. It's all free that you can get, or win these biobs are fantastic, these terrariums, all on my website, daviddominy.com. There's opportunity to win, there's loads of stuff. Take a look on my website, all free information that you can get to help you grow inside and outside, engage with children as well. If you want to start or get involved with community gardening, you can take a look at the Cultivation Street website too. But for me, my houseplant changed my life. Green Well-Being for the Great Indoors, published by Dawn and Kindersley. Now, I just hope you find something within that makes your life special, living with nature indoors. See you again next time.